So I am delighted to be welcoming Cathy Reilly, who certainly has all the right moves. And Cathy and I met kind of by chance a couple of months ago when I reached out looking for people to share their voice on the Senior Heart Song Summit. And Cathy raised her hand. And I was delighted to learn more about Cathy. Cathy is the CEO of Sharing the Shine. She's also the best-selling author of Unleash Your Inner Voice, which you can see a large version of behind her. Cathy learned the hard way that staying quiet and always putting others first comes with a price. That mindset put Cathy in the hospital not once, not twice, but 4 times. Cathy turned these lessons into a lifestyle practice and mentors others in self-advocacy of mind, body, and environment. Please welcome Cathy Reilly for her presentation, Unleash the Power of You, 3 tips on how to show up and combat your itty bitty shitty committee. Over to you, Cathy.
Yay! So just checking, everybody can hear me okay? Okay, fantastic. So I know we did a little bit of yoga, but before we get started, what I did want to do is for those that are just joining in, I know for some of you it's later in the day, it's 4 o'clock my time, but what I invite you guys to do is let's do a little stretch. So take one arm up and reach the stars while the other one reach down to the ground. So think about your one hand reaching up for your dreams and the other one down to the ground. What keeps you grounded? Your core values, right? And stretch and take a deep breath in and let it out. Okay, let's switch. Up with the arm, left arm, reaching for your dreams, right arm, reaching down to the ground, being grounded, right? And a deep breath. All right, how's that feel? Is that good? Loosen you up a little bit? Okay, now, because of this being a heart song, we talk about music and all that, I'm gonna ask you guys to play with me for a quick minute. So if you can stand up, you can do this sitting as well. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna make music together. Okay, you're gonna take your one foot and your other foot and we're gonna stomp. So we're gonna go stomp, stomp, and then we're gonna clap. Okay, so it's going to be quite simple. Stomp, stomp, clap. Ready? You guys ready? All right, ready? Stomp, stomp, clap. 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 Get jiggy with it. Stomp, stomp, clap. 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 Good job, everybody. Did you think I was going to start singing? Yeah. No. Did you have a song in your head that started going? Of course you did. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, you guys can sit down and chill out. Thank you for playing with me. Get a little energy going, right? So, yes, Queen. I know, I love that song. And I was going to sing, but you really don't want me to. So with that, we will get started. So question for you. Do you talk to yourself? Do you? Of course you do. Does anybody talk out loud? You guys, I all the time. My dog and I have meetings all day long. It is absolutely wonderful. She agrees with me 100%. So she's a great coworker. So when we speak out loud, we actually speak at a rate of about 150 words per minute. So they did a study out on TED Talks, and the average speaker is about 150 words. So here's the thing, here's a kicker. Okay, we talk to ourselves internally at a rate of 4,000 words per minute. 4,000 words. There's a lot going on up here. And the truth is, this isn't all positive. This isn't all thumbs up, right? There's a lot of stinking thinking going on up here. And that's what I refer to as the itty bitty shitty committee. When those words, that internal dialogue that we have going on that is negative and it's talking smack, That's our itty bitty shitty committee. And so we are faced with this at 4,000 words per minute. We're faced with this daily, all the time. We are hammered by what I call the itty bitty shitty committee. And why is this important? I have a story for you. So this was back in 2010. And I am a wife. I'm a mother. My daughter was 5 years old. And I work full time at a law firm. And I also had started my own business at the time. That was my exit strategy to the law firm. And, I was involved in my community. I was doing so many different things, right? Just busy. I was the person, though, that if you needed to get something done, you called me, because I was go, 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 go. I was a yes girl. I was doing everything, and I was smiling the whole time. So one winter day, my husband and daughter go up to the mountains to go skiing, and it left me with the day to myself. I had a whole day all by myself. So they left at about 5 and I went back to bed because I'm like, yay, nap time. And I just had a lazy morning, right? I ended up having a long shower all by myself, uninterrupted. It was wonderful. Even the dog left me alone. It was crazy. It was beautiful. So as the morning goes on, I bent over to pick something up and I felt and heard a pop. And I went, uh-oh, that's not natural. And then I just kind of waited and I'm like, it's nothing. Have you ever told yourself it's nothing? Yeah, I said, it's nothing. And then the day progresses and I start feeling off. And I think the best word I can describe for how I was feeling was gassy. I just felt gassy. So, I took some Gas-X and I just putzed around during the day. And more, I started feeling off. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to chill out. I'm going to watch a comedy. I love movies and comedies, make me laugh, please. So I sat down, had my cup of tea, all quiet, and watched my comedy. So when that was over, I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. I stood up and this wave of nausea and pain hits me that literally took me to my knees. And I'm like, oh boy. And I knew I was going to lose it. I was going to toss my cookies. And I'm the person that cleans my house. And I was in my family room and I had my carpet right there. And I'm like, I'm like, tile floors over there. So I dropped down in commando style, scooped myself over on the carpet, got to the tile and let go. And as I laid my head down on the cold tile, and it felt so good, I was like, all right, begin the internal dialogue. Okay, so I start talking to myself. What's going on? This isn't normal. Why do I feel such? Should I call somebody? Who can I call? I have no family here, right? I have friends and neighbors, but who am I going to call? And is this a big deal? Am I making it a big deal? And I'm like, you know what? You haven't eaten anything. You took that medication. It's nothing. You know it's nothing. Just get yourself some food. You'll be fine. And like, remember that time when you were in high school and you told mom you weren't feeling good? And we ended up going to the ER and it was because you were constipated? That was embarrassing. You don't want to do that again. Don't be a drama queen. You're fine. And so I listened and I didn't do anything. I went and cleaned everything up, got myself some ginger ale and crackers, and I sat there. About an hour or two later, my husband calls and he's like, yep, we just finished skiing. And I'm like, great, get home. So he comes home, scoops me up and takes me to the ER right down the street. And they almost life flight me over to the hospital. I had emergency surgery. So they rushed me in for emergency surgery. I had an ectopic pregnancy. So I was about 2-3 months pregnant. The baby was in my right fallopian tubes. That morning it had burst and I had been bleeding out all day. It wasn't nothing. It was something. I nearly lost my life because I listened to my itty bitty shitty committee, my stinking thinking. I nearly lost my life because I felt unworthy I couldn't be a bother. I didn't want to be a drama queen. I didn't want to go there. And I almost lost my life. And if that wasn't enough, 2 more surgeries within the next 2 months. Not 1, but 2 detached retinas. Yay, it was so fun. So as I'm recovering from all of this, I look at my daughter, who's 5 years old at the time. And I'm like, I don't want her to be me. I don't want her to be me. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something. I don't know what, but I got to do something. A friend of mine invited me to this confidence course. So I took it, and Trey Malacote was offering it. He's my life savior. He was amazing. But he asked me a question. He asked me, when was the last time you needed help? You really needed help and you didn't ask. And I was like, damn. Tears, everything. I hit my rock bottom because I could say that was just 2 months ago, when here I am on the floor in my own vomit and I can't even pick up the phone. I'm like, all right, I drew the line in the sand. I was like, I've got to change because that's me. You see, I have a degree in psychology and business. I spent 25 years as a litigation paralegal, advocating for other people, for other people's dreams, their monies, their businesses, for their livelihood. So I took my knowledge, my skill set, and I said, all right, I got to figure out how to be my own advocate. I've got to learn to stand up for me because, quite honestly, we're the only ones that can do that. We are our own best advocate. So I started working with a coach. I started taking classes, seminars, conferences, reading books. I was devouring books about our brains, personalities. How do we show up? How can we flip that switch and show up for ourselves? And I'm going to tell you something, guys. It's a never-ending project. To this day, I still combat my itty bitty shitty committee. But when we have the tools and the desire and the recognition, like, okay, I got to work at this, things can happen and lives can change. Okay. So I'm constantly learning. So I ask you now, when was the last time you needed help and you didn't ask? That's a tough question. And if you have an answer, you're in the right place. If you've ever hesitated to use your voice, you're in the right place. If you struggle to ask for help, you're in the right place. If you are somebody who says, no, I'm not going to, I could ask for some help, but by the time I tell them how to do it, and then they do it, and then they do it wrong, which means that I have to do it anyway, that it's just really not worth my time. You know what? Forget it. I'm just going to do it myself. If you know what that is, I see you. I was you. Okay. You're in the right place. Okay. And if you know what itty bitty shitty committee is, yeah, you're in the right place. Because today I'm going to share with you 3 powerful tools. This is juicy, guys. Powerful tools on how to flip that switch and show up for yourself. How to shift that itty bitty shitty committee, that stinking thinking, so that you can be your own best advocate. I'm going to teach you how to show up for yourself like you're showing up for your spouse, for your child, for your parent, right? You're going to learn how to show up for you that way. So I'm going to pour into you guys as much as I can in the time that we have. And I'm going to tell you, I'm leaving some time at the end for questions. So write them down and then we'll post them in the chat later. But we'll hold the questions till the end. Okay. And then I will also tell you how you can learn more because I've only got so much time. It can only cover so much. And there's just so much juicy stuff. Okay. So does that make sense? Everyone good? Are we ready to get started? All right, cool. Yay! All right, tip number 1. The biggest thing you can do is pay attention to that internal dialogue. Okay, that's when you take your power back, is when you can pay attention to that. So first, let me explain to you what the itty bitty shitty committee is. Okay, those voices, that internal dialogue, the voices in your head that constantly talk smack, okay, that are telling you what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, your woulda, coulda, shoulda people, those voices, yeah, that's your itty bitty shitty committee. And they're talking smack to you. The way I look at it, so that's your itty bitty shitty committee. So, but now let's figure out what we can do about it. So your brain, okay, I see your brain. Ooh, I got to share. So your brain is like a computer, okay? So there's a little visual. We've got programs running in the foreground and programs running in the background. So our foreground, okay, just like right here on our computers is our Zoom. And no, we know we've got other things running in the background, our drivers and all that kind of stuff is going on. But in our foreground, okay, what's running? So in our brain, what's running is our consciousness. So that is what we are aware of. And what's running in the background is our subconscious. And our subconscious is also what I call the database. So everything in our lives is stored in there. All the memories we have, the emotions, conversations, people, feelings, all of that, it's all stored back in your database, which is in your subconscious. Now, your subconscious plays with your current, because when there's a current situation, your subconscious can then relate to it and go, oh, I got something. And it pops from your subconscious to your conscious. And it's when that brain creates that connection. And it's like, ooh, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? So to generalize, your past, everything that's happened before is stored and it impacts your current reality. Okay, so our past influences us. But what I will say about that, okay, so our consciousness, we are only aware of about 20% of what's going on. Our brain doesn't have the capacity to fill in everything, but it's still stored and running and pops in when it needs to. Now, an example of how this is in everyday life, has anybody ever gotten a new car? Okay, you buy a new car and what happens? You're driving it around, you park it in the parking lot, and then you go over there. Next thing you know, there's like 3 other cars, right? It's everywhere. Now, the reality is they didn't get the memo and said, okay, Cathy just bought this car, so now everybody else needs to buy it. That's not what happens. Your brain is now fully aware of what's going on, of the car. And it's like paying attention to it. So what we pay attention to, we see. What we pay attention to, that's the power. So then now we're seeing the car everywhere, okay? Because it's run from our subconscious to our conscious. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah? Okay. So our committee though, okay, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to do this. I got technology skills. So our committee is essentially those memories and those people that have influence over us or had influence over us. So our committee is made up of people beginning from when we were young to now. Okay. And our committee, as it stands today, it is what it is. But these are people like your parents, okay, maybe your grandparents, your best friend when you were a kid, teacher, coach, whoever that may be, whoever influenced you in one way, shape, or form as a kid, whether it was good, bad, or ugly, they are sitting at your committee table. And now you move forward, you're in relationships and a career and everything. And these people who have had influence over you are also sitting at your committee table. So your committee table may have 10 people. It may have 100 people. It depends on how many people have had that influence with you. So you are the focus of this committee. Now, when the committee leans more on the negative than the positive, that's when it becomes the itty bitty shitty committee. And while our committee as it stands, it is what it is right now because it's based on our past, we can change it and we'll talk about that later. But our committee, okay, is made up of, there we go, we got it, of past experiences and our influencers. So here's what you remember. You're sitting at the head of your committee table. It is your committee, by the way. And these are the people that have influenced you. So how do we take back the power and not allow our committee to run us ragged? It's all in the power of paying attention. So when you have a situation where you're about to talk and you feel that hesitation, right? Or when you are working on a project and all of a sudden that critical Cathy is going, it's paying attention to that internal dialogue. That's where you take back your power, right? It's like, okay, well, you're my noodle, you're telling me that I can't do this. Well, when you recognize it, you pay attention, you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute. No, I can do this. So you recognize the internal dialogue, you pause, you say, no, thank you. You no longer serve me. You're part of my past. You're my ex-husband or whatever it is. No, thank you. You no longer serve me. And then you shift the conversation. You shift your decision. You move forward in a positive manner versus the negative that was coming from your committee. Does that make sense to you guys? So the power lays all in paying attention to that conversation, pausing, calling a timeout, saying no, thank you, and then shifting from the negative to the positive. Because that experience, that critical Cathy or whoever, that talking smack is no longer serving you. And you can take the power back by shifting. Now, and I know this works because I have another story for you. So I started this whole process 2010, 2011. Fast forward a few years till 2016, and I'm back in the hospital again, this time with blood clots covering both lungs. I for me and my health, go big or go home. Woo! So, but this time when the pain hit though, I was on the phone. I heard my negative critical Cathy stinking thinking, itty bitty shitty committee. And I went, no. Been here, done that, not going to happen. I was on the phone with my doctor first to say, what should I do? Called my husband. And then I proceeded to call every single neighbor because I worked from home and they were all doing the kid drop off thing. And I'm like, one of you is taking my butt to the ER. I don't care which one, you guys pick. And my neighbor, Christine, jokes. She was in between the two kids. And she's like, I dropped one kid off. She picked me up and she goes, I just slowed down just enough to kick you out at the ER. And then she went to get the other kid. So it cracks me up. But so this time, I'm telling you, by following what I'm telling you guys and teaching you, I was able to show up for myself. And this time I'm like, yeah, my doctors are like, your healthy lifestyle just saved your life. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. I'm like, yay! So it works. This process, this simple tool, paying attention to the dialogue, okay? And when it's the itty bitty shitty committee talking smack to us, time out, pause, no thank you. This no longer serves me. And you shift from the negative to the positive. Okay? Make sense? Now, the second tip. Da, 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 da. Speak kindly to yourself. With all that going on, those 4,000 words per minute, we are kind of mean to ourselves. And that's not nice. Think about it. If we are telling our body when we look in the mirror, yucky stuff, that's going to add up year after year after year. And our body's going to react to that, right? So you got up this morning. One of the first things you did was look in the mirror. What did you say to yourself? Do you remember? So statistically speaking, 9 times out of 10, when we look in the mirror, we say something negative. That's crazy. 9 times out of 10, when we look in the mirror, we say something negative. And that's got to shift. That's really got to shift. So here's my rule of thumb when it comes to talking to yourself. If you cannot say out loud to your grandma or to your child what you're saying to yourself, you should not be saying it at all. Okay, we should be talking to ourselves like we talk to our puppy, our kitty, our pet. I mean, you know what that sounds like. You step on their little foot accidentally. Oh no, oh my good boy, you okay? Mama loves you, right? We need to start talking to ourselves that way, that tone of voice, that excitement, that love, that unconditional love. That's how we should be talking to ourselves. So one of the tools that I have is what I call the mirror exercise. So you heard the statistics, 9 times out of 10, when we look in the mirror, we say something negative. So here's the task to do with that. Every time you look in the mirror, every time, I want you to say something positive. Now, the first thought's the first thought. That's our subconscious. We cannot control that. But what we can control is our next thought. So what we say to ourselves, you give ourselves a compliment. Say something nice, even if it is, damn, I'll make that look good. Okay, so I have a story for you. And I'm going to stop the share. There we go. Okay, so my story. Newlywed with my Prince Charming, right? And we are getting ready in the morning. We work together and we commute together. So, you have our routine. So I'm putting on my face and he's hopping out of the shower and I still see it, he's toweling off and he looks at the mirror. He looks down at his legs, looks at the mirror, looks down at his legs, looks in the mirror, is like, damn, those are some sexy legs. He's like, you are one lucky woman. And I'm like, yeah, baby, I am so lucky. So if nothing else, when you look at the mirror, be like Tim and just say, damn, how sexy I am. Okay? So speak kindly to yourself. And if nothing else, at the end of the day, when you look at the mirror, I want you to also look at it and say, I love you. Look at yourself. Look eye to eye and say, I love you. And then celebrate one thing. What's one thing you did good today? Even if it was have a good hair day, whatever it is, celebrate one thing. So what we're doing is pre-programming every morning and every night, that routine. And by saying those things, we are reprogramming that subconscious. We are consciously reprogramming how we talk to ourselves because there's power in paying attention. Okay. And then the third tip. The third tip is surround yourself with positive people. There's a phrase, okay, you guys have heard this. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And even at this age, that's still true. Who do you hang out with? You are the sum of 5 people that you hang out with. Do they lift you and inspire you? Do they challenge you? Do they make you a better person? Because the people you spend the most time with, those 5 people, you are a reflection of them. And if they're cranky, guess what? You end up being cranky, right? If they're unhappy a lot, it's going to bring you down. So surround yourself with like-minded, positive people. If you don't have them, find them. Pull from your joy list. Hopefully you all know what your joy list is. So there's always 10 things on your joy list, right? 5 things that you could do right now, easy peasy, and 5 things that bring you joy that it's a little bit more work, like traveling, that requires a little planning. But pick 10 things on your joy list. Okay, you should always have that. 5 are ready to go at any given time, like reading a book, watching a movie, exercise, whatever it is that's on your joy list. Go find a group that does that. Okay, there's groups out there. If running is your jam, there are groups that do that, and get to know those people. I ride horses. I go to the barn. I hang out with those people because they get me, right? So find people. Yeah, I'm a little off sometimes, but find people that do what you do, that you love to do, that lift you, and get to know them. Build relationships. If there's somebody in your business that actually you is a mentor to you that you think is really, really cool that's doing it, then safely stalk them. Go hang out where they hang out. Find their peeps and just go spend time with them. If you have a personal relationship, go to lunch, a dinner, a happy hour, spend more time with them. You know, spend more time with those positive people. Okay. Now, if you happen to be related to somebody that's a bit of a stinker, so here's what I do. I ended up divorcing the first one. I don't recommend that unless that's the last option, right? Okay, you got to do what you got to do. No judgment here. But if you happen to be related to one, which I do have some relatives that are kind of not bueno, so just limit the time you spend with them. Better yet, limit the conversations. They don't need to know everything and be up in your business. You don't need to give them an opportunity to tell you what you're doing wrong. Don't even give it to them. Be strategic about the conversations. Be strategic about the time you spend with them. And when you do that, you take back some of your power. Because when you're related to them, there's really nothing you can do. So find more positive people. So those are the three things. The first one is identifying your itty bitty shitty committee. When does that happen? Recognize it, right? Pay attention to it. Is it negative? If it's negative, shift it to positive, right? So there's that. The second tip is speak kindly to yourself, right? Talk to yourself like you would your pet. That's in a nutshell. Talk to yourself like you would your pet. And the third is to surround yourself with like-minded, positive people who are going to help and support you. Okay, at the end of the day, these tools help me show up for myself. These tools literally saved my life. There's so much more that I would love to share with you guys, but here's what I know. These tools work. I have a client who actually had a conversation with her doctor, a real conversation that's down and honest. And she now has a plan that is right for her and what she wants, and she's pain free. You know, I worked with another lady, she's actually speaking on a stage right now. She flipped that switch and she is able to speak from a stage, and it's so exciting. And then I've got a mom that I'm working with who's able to set boundaries because she works from home, and it's a struggle, right? Our committee affects us all. But if you're able to create boundaries, she's able to build that alignment with home and work. So these tools absolutely can change lives. Learning to be your own advocate, learning for me to be my own advocate. It takes time. Okay, this is something that you do little by little. Every day you make steps. Every day you pay attention. Now, I've taken some of my best tips and put them together, the tools that I know work for this committee, and I put them in my book, which you see right here, Unleash Your Inner Voice. And it has been shared in the chat. So you guys, this is tens of thousands of dollars worth of therapy and that you can get for $15. These are juicy, juicy tips. And I'd love to give it all for free if I could, but they say I have to charge you for a book. That's Amazon's deal. So there's so much more that I can pour into you. But so now I'm going to open it up for questions so that we can do that. So if you have a question, if you have an aha moment, if there was something that resonated with you, feel free to put it in the chat. I will pop that up again. But I wanted to say in the chat, there is also it's just in there. It popped up. It's my gift to you guys. I want to help and serve as many people as I can. So I'm offering two things. So if you go to freegiftfromcathy.com, you've got two options. One is checking in for 30 days for my mastermind group. So we meet twice a month about how you show up for yourself. And we talk about the itty bitty shitty committee and how we can shift that. The other thing is a 30-minute call with me that we go deeper into what's impacting your itty bitty shitty committee. So those are my offers for you guys. And I also in there is how you can follow me. I love friends. So friend me on Facebook and on Instagram and LinkedIn, and just would love to get to know you guys and build a relationship even deeper. You guys, I'm here to help and support you. So with that, and you're, okay, so let me hop the chat and see if we've got any questions. You guys can either unmute yourself or put something in the chat. Anything? Oh, you guys are chatting. John Newman says advanced communications. Yes. Oh, I thought they were running the country, not my head. Good, good. But we can shift them. Take back the power. Nobody dares say call. Who can you call? Olivia, we are our own best advocates. Yes. Steve, I'm much better at asking and I still struggle with it on a daily basis. You're not alone. Lots of us struggle. And that's why it is a daily activity. It's something that we work on every single day. Steve likes the database. Yes. And I'm not a friend of computers. So that's part of the reason why it works out so well too. Because they, you have lots of things going. Thank you, Miss Krista. Such a simple but brilliant idea to say something positive when we look at ourselves. Olivia, dang, how sexy am I? Yes, you are, girlfriend. You married to Rod Stewart? Yeah, she won't tell. Of course we don't. So Krista says, of course we don't ditch our friends because they're having a hard time. That's not what that's about. No, no, no. We are there to support our friends. But there are people that need more than just support. There are people who will suck. I call them energy vampires. No matter what, they never have a good day. And those are the people that I say, maybe it's time to break up with, because we're their friends. They always pull your positive energy, right? And you end up coming down. So you just got to watch out for the energy vampires. Just, Steve, I'm glad my wife, well, she saw the better side of you. So she knew we all have bad moments, and moments, it's just a fraction in time. Okay. But overall, we're all such good people, and we need to show that to the world.
Mine lasted a couple of years, so it was
But how long did she know you before? How long have you guys been together?
That's a good point. Thank you. Yes. So
we've
been together 28 years, and so she's been a while.
So there's a lot of positivity and love that was shared before, during, and after that whole time. So and you focus on the positive, right?
Absolutely.
A camel is a horse designed by a committee. John, I like that. Signed. Okay. Oop, I got a couple more. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, John. You're welcome, Irma. So much value. Thank you, Delisa. Yes. So hard to let go of those energy vampires when they are part of your family. Yes, I have one of those too. And I have just learned to limit my conversations and my time. And so whenever I go over to visit, I always have people with me, other people, so that there's never a true one-to-one. conversation. If it happens, it happens, but I try specifically to not go there, right? I try to be strategic. So yes, I have a family member who's technically a bully, and it's not fun, but I've managed it. So that's my suggestion. Any other? What if they live with you? Okay. And can I ask another question? Ms. Delisa, may I ask? Are you married to them? Or is it just family married to them? Yes. Okay. That's a little bit more complicated. I've had one of those, but it's you always try to focus on the positive. You still limit your conversation. You be specific, strategic with your conversation, and you try to focus on the positive as much as you can. And some people, maybe try to find things to do that are fun, that bring them joy. So maybe see what their joy list is, and then compare the two, and then bring up the level and the vibration of what joy is. Does that make sense? You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And you've got my contact info. Happy to have a dialogue offline if you like. I'm here for you. Yes. So John said harboring hate is like eating rat poison and expecting the rat to die. Very good. Yes. Very, very true. All right. Any other questions? Did you guys? Thank you. Thanks, Steve. All right, friends. Was this helpful?
Very helpful. All right. Thank you, Cathy.
All right. Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to the powers that be. I am honored that I had this opportunity to share my knowledge with you, friends. Thank you.